Quick video here on some of the best practices you can learn and utilize to do as well as you possibly can in this course. I know some of you really want to do to show your best here, and here's one of my, I think, the most important tip I can give you for success in this course. I've been teaching this course, 2F90, for 7 years now, and have seen lots of really good things and some not so good things. And this is one of the not so good things. This is the major student complaint about asynchronous courses. Now, this is in general, not just on this course, but if you talk to the people who do educational technologies and things like that, they see this all the time. It's a common complaint. And it really comes down to this, forums, that students say they like the flexibility, there's a lot of work, there's all kinds of things that they can say about online courses in general, but they don't hate forums, but they don't like them. And they find them to be a hindrance to enjoying the course. They feel pressured, they have to write a lot and read a lot and so on just to get to the point where they can write. And so they find the forum to be a problem. So the question is, why in particular do they dislike the forums? The one thing you see on course evaluations over and over and over again, or at least over the years I have anyhow, and other people who've taught these kinds of courses have told me the exact same thing, is that in the forums, students continually repeat the same points in their forum descriptions and discussions. And thus, it's a lot of writing to no real end, because you're just kind of seeing people saying the same thing over and over again. And you might think, that I might defend that some way because I have some sort of investment in these courses, but gosh, no, I completely agree. I think this is a problem in online courses. But I think there's something we can do about it. I think we can pose some potential solutions here. Here's where I see this problem emerging. This is a graph based on forum posts from last year. This is just a week, but it's a typical week. This is the posts per day in the fall-winter version of 2F90. So what you can see here is that at Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, not a whole lot of posts happening. See, the first day, that looks like 3 or 4 on Monday and Tuesday, 10 or 11, 12 on Wednesday, and then it jumps up almost to 20 on Thursday. And then look on Friday, it's like, whoa, 44, 45 posts happening. And so there's a pretty clear pattern here that some people are posting very early, but most people are posting over here. Now, in some cases, the people that are posting early are also posting over there because, people do, there's no fixed number of posts you're expected to do here. Certainly, I think at an absolute minimum, you should be thinking about 2. But I think, if you want to be doing really well, you should be thinking about 3 or 4 posts. And that depends on the length. And we're not going to have a conversation today about length, but I will say really, really quickly, and I say this in the syllabus and in the guide to the course, some people write essays. You don't need to write essays here. It's like a seminar. You're talking. So 100, 200 words, typically that's plenty. 300 words would be a long post in a course like this. But I've seen students do 600 and 700 and 800 words, and that's ridiculous because one of the things I want is that I want you guys to read each other's posts. And if you were all doing that, that's impossible. In fact, it would be impossible for me to read all those things and make useful comments on it. So that's just ridiculous. Keep your posts short. But it also gets at that kind of crowding issue at the end. Too many people, and this is the key point. Too many people are posting only near the end of the week. They just come in on, in this case on Friday afternoon. We're doing a 2 lesson per week version during the spring summer here. But the same pattern I've seen apply in spring versions of the course as well. Too many people are posting very near the end of the posting period. In this case, it's a week, but in our case, it would be 2.5 days. So why? Why is that happening? I know, and this is particularly true in spring, summer, because people have jobs, although lots of people have jobs during the winter as well, that you're simply busy. To which I would say, sure, but you signed up for the course has demands, and at a certain point, I can only feel so sympathetic for you there. Some of you are just kind of disorganized and kind of put things off to the end. And again, maybe, I can't comment on that. I have no idea. I don't know who you are. Don't know anything about you. But that's certainly an issue for some people more than it is for other people. I think the thing I've seen most commonly, and I've certainly talked to students who have said this is what they're doing, is that they treat the end of the week as a deadline. But it's not a deadline. It's just the end of a period. This is the deadline. The entire week is the deadline. You're supposed to be having a conversation. Now, it's a forum. It's a discussion. Well, in Brightspace, they're called discussions. But it's meant to be an actual discussion where you're actually talking to each other about the work, as you would in a face-to-face seminar. So to run with that face-to-face seminar analogy for a second, imagine people speaking in this kind of order, like you're seeing in this graph, in this kind of order in an actual face-to-face seminar. What that would really amount to is in the last few minutes of the seminar, people are there just kind of shouting at each other. Well, in text, that's what's happening. Because people aren't reading each other's posts. They're just trying to squeeze in their little thing at the end so they can say they've done their post that week. And it's only one. But I have to read all those. And, I will happily read all your posts. But what I often see, and it's really heavily concentrated in those last minute, end of the week posts, is people just saying the first thing that they think of when they're doing their readings. And what they don't know is, because they're posting late and they haven't read other people's posts, is that everybody else has already said that. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 people have already said that exact same point. And it's already a problem that those 8 or 10 people have made the same point, because I want you to be developing each other's points, not just saying the thing over and again. But it really shows that you're not engaged in the course. You did a quick run through the readings, you skimmed some things, you grabbed a point, you ran off, you made your post, got it in before the deadline, and all is good. Well, that's not good, because you've not actually participated in the conversation. Now, to be clear, some of these posts are good, but when I see a pattern of really bad, redundant posts, I know why, and it's because people have just come in at the last minute and thrown that in there. And I see what time you've posted your posts and so on. So I can see that pattern really, really clearly emerging all the time. And I would also quickly toss in some of those early posts. They're not especially good. I mean, this conversation is not about the quality of the posts in general. It's about that conversation. I'm only commenting on when you're posting here, but there is also a correlation to that the ones that are just thrown in at the end of the week tend to be weaker, that's for sure. But I've seen the first post of the week be kind of lame and not very interesting. It's not just being early is the point. So, are there some strategies for dealing with this? Yes, there are. Post early. Now, as I just said, that doesn't guarantee it's a good post. This is about getting into the conversation. It's not about the quality of the post. And I'll have some tips for you on quality later. But getting in early is important. It allows you to establish a position. It allows you to get in there and having achieved something quickly, and you can put it aside. You don't have to kind of sit there for the next 4 hours waiting for somebody to reply to you. You can come back the next day and say, oh, look, somebody's replied to me. We can have a conversation here. It gets you in there, it gets you early, it establishes some points to be discussed. Other people will be doing the same thing. Of course, if you're posting early, you can't respond. Well, at a certain point, there's a kind of tipping point when you ought to. But the first, 4, 5, 6, 7 people that post, as long as they're saying something unique and different, it's still incumbent on those people to read the other posts, to say something new, to say something different, to get something new into the conversation. That's all great. The responsibility for responding is as the conversation develops. And that gets at reading others' posts before you post. Now again, as I just said, if you're amongst the first few, this is harder. But once you get up to 5, 6, 7 posts, it suddenly becomes clear that people begin to notice similar patterns in their readings. And you'll see sometimes during this course, I'll say if your name begins, or your last name begins with the letters A to M, do this reading, and if your name begins with N to Z, do this reading, so you'll do 2 different readings. That's an opportunity for conversation, right? I read this, I learned this. Oh, really? Because I read this essay and it told me something different. It showed me this. You can have a conversation about that. So reading other people's posts is that opportunity for real discussion. It's really important to making the conversations work. The third thing is, and this gets at, a lot of people say things like, well, there's only so many things to say and they've all already been said, to which I would say, well, you should have got it in there earlier. But there's another strategy here too, and I think this is a really good strategy. Take lots of notes so that you have the material to work with to add to the discussion. If you read your readings and make, 2 or 3 pages of notes, particular things that you found interesting, useful, supported the argument, illustrated the larger question. Remember in our forums, we're meant to be answering questions. If you find evidence, different forms of evidence that answer the same question, perhaps even in different ways, those are all good things, and you can put those to your notes. Then when you are, going back to point 2, then when you are reading other people's posts, you can say, oh, look, Bob already said that. Oh, look, Betty already said that. But nobody has said this. I can make my contribution here. Because you have something to work with, right? It's not just that kind of first thing that popped off the top of your head. That will give you strength as you go into writing your own posts, particularly when you're doing responses. But equally so, I think, when you're doing your initial posts. So those are all kinds of good possibilities there. So is there an incentive for this? Well, yes, of course there's an incentive. Your grades will probably be higher. When I'm seeing somebody posting, and again, I'm going to just run with the week-long version of this because it's simpler to explain time-wise, but if I see somebody posting on Friday afternoon at 3 o'clock and they're saying the same damn thing that 8 other people have already said, I'm not impressed. I mean, it shows that you've really not engaged at all with that. So will you get a check mark or something? I mean, I don't grade with check marks, but will you have kind of checked off the box that says, did he post that week? Yeah, you did. But it's kind of a useless post. It's kind of the same as, when you're sitting in a seminar and somebody says something and then somebody beside them says the exact same thing. What do you do when you look at that person? You say, why did you say that? She just said that. You just repeated her. That's really not contributing to the conversation. This is the same. So your grade will be higher if you're contributing new, original, interesting, engaged material, if you're responding to people and participating in the discussion. Simple as that. In fact, I know your grades will be higher because I'm offering a 10% bonus for posts made in the first 30 hours of each lesson. So just to kind of frame that for you, our lessons go from Monday morning till midday on Wednesday, and then from midday on Wednesday till dinner time on Friday, early evening on Friday. So those are 2 60-hour blocks, right? Total amounts of time. So if you post in the first 30 hours, I'm going to give you a 10% bonus there. So this has nothing to do with the quality. If I gave you, and again, these are kind of arbitrary numbers, but if I gave you 2 out of 5, you're still only going to get 2.2 out of 5. It's not that big a deal. But if you got 4 out of 5, that begins to multiply because suddenly that's a half a point being added to your score. So quality posts in there early, you're going to get some kind of bonus. And I'm offering a 10% bonus for posts that show real engagement with your classmates' posts. In other words, if you say something like, that's really interesting evidence you presented on that guy's argument about that thing, whatever the topic is, I read the same essay and I was really struck by this evidence, in other words, different evidence. Or you go to a primary document and you say, wow, your primary document showed that. That's really interesting because my primary document showed this. And you can talk about what it means that you have contradictory evidence and what we do with contradictory evidence. That's a conversation. And I can't stress enough that you guys really can teach each other lots of stuff. You can learn from each other in this kind of manner by actually having a discussion about what's going on. In other words, you'll learn more. That's what you'll get out of this. You'll get higher grades and you'll learn more. You'll take more away from this course. I know some of you, you just want to get the credit. You're not interested in how well you do. And you know what? You guys can sort yourselves out. That's fine. But if you want to do well, if you want to shine in this course, if you want to really learn in this course, I think these recommendations will help you. It's a spring, damp, weird, cool day. It's May. It should be warmer than it is. So that's a good excuse to be inside and get onto your readings. Look forward to just starting these real discussions beyond our introductions tomorrow afternoon. You take care. Bye-bye.